This is VSiN PrimeTime. Live from the Circus Sportsbook in downtown Las Vegas on VSiN, the sports betting network.
Second hour of the program, and look who stops by. Derek Stevens, the head honcho here at Circa, in with a very dapper coat. What's up, sir? Vegas Golden Knights playing tonight as well. You ready to go?
Yeah, I mean, I've been basketball all week
Right.
at the College Basketball Crown, but tonight we got a little event down at T-Mobile, so we're going to pop in there real quick, see a good hockey game, and then be back here to Legacy Club shortly thereafter.
So before you mention, I was going to say, before you go, we go to the hockey really quickly. You mentioned the Crown. You've been all over this too, right? You went down there a couple of times as well.
I was down there last night. I saw your guys, David Rossborough, Wilbo, at MGM Grand Garden Arena, and you had a bunch of Circa guys up there in the VIP section. I was sitting down there courtside, Derek, and I love that arena for basketball. I think it's great.
I love it as well. I sat down there in those seats where they were at, kind of the extension of the bench on Monday. It was unbelievable. It's an amazing view, and I agree. I think that arena is great for basketball.
It's great for boxing, for UFC, pretty much anything. But when the Pac-12 had its basketball tournament there and UNLV's played there in the past, I said, this is an awesome arena for basketball. It's good for this tournament, too. And I'm a big fan of the College Basketball Crown because we've had games Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. They've been pretty good games. We've been betting them, talk about them on these shows. I went out last night. Derek, there may be 300 at the peak, maybe 500 people in the arena. But it's still a pretty good atmosphere there. I think maybe the Crown is making a mistake by moving the games on the weekend over to T-Mobile, where you're going to have 20,000 seats, and there's going to be so few fans there. It's going to feel cavernous, right? Because it still feels okay at an MGM Grand Garden when you've only got 300 or 500 fans there. T-Mobile is going to be different. You think there's going to be a big surge in the number of fans there this weekend?
No. I agree with you on that point completely, Matt. But I think we got to think through the development of how the College Basketball Crown came about. So you got some big companies here. So you got Fox Sports. President of Fox was behind this, and with all the work that they do with the Big Ten and Big East and everything, they were able to lock in the fact that they can bring teams to this tournament. They partnered with AEG, who owns T-Mobile. Was one of the requirements was that the Final Four and the final game had to be at T-Mobile. Okay. That's what that owner wanted. They teamed with Vivid Seats, who bought a lot of the seats in advance, and then dished them out to the different teams. In these basketball tournaments, you see, like when I was there for Boise State on Monday, you had a big crowd. Well, you got 8 teams playing, but once Boise State's done, they're not hanging around for the Georgetown game at 10 p.m. type of thing. So they do them in these sessions. So you might have 2,500 tickets sold, but you're never going to have more than 500, 600 people there at one time or something like that.
Yeah, I was there last night for the Butler-Boise game. The peak number of fans during that game was about 300.
Yeah, I believe it. I mean, it didn't look too great.
Most of them were Boise fans.
Yeah.
And it was a great game, though. It was actually a highly entertaining game. I still thought it was a great atmosphere, but you're right in this respect. This tournament specifically, is mostly about TV, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think it's been great to have games each day this week, Monday through Thursday. In fact, we've got 2 games tonight. Villanova's playing USC in a late game tonight. So I like this tournament quite a bit. Are you going to go out on the weekend?
Yeah, I'm going out. The Final Four starts at 10:30. Tip-off on Saturday morning. We'll be there game 1 and then game 2 right after that. I'm also going to be here with everybody from the Crown tomorrow because, tomorrow is the CBC Fan Fest here at Stadium Swim. So everybody that's a fan of the Crown can come to Stadium Swim and they get their first drink free and then they're off and running. Because remember, tomorrow's a complete off day.
Yeah.
Off day.
You've drummed up any betting action? What's it been like for the Crown games? Have there been any interest in bettors?
It's been terrific.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, obviously for us, it's been terrific in 3 states.
Sure.
In Iowa, in Colorado, and in Nevada. It's been nonstop. In Iowa, we booked Monday. We did not book Tuesday. Mm-hmm. But then we got the ruling yesterday. We're good to go. So we're great in Iowa now. And then Illinois decided to take a pass. So,
okay.
So this was a unique thing that jurisdictionally which states allowed it and which states didn't. The Crown's going to be a tournament that, for a lot of reasons, is going to end the NIT. The NIT is owned by the NCAA, and NCAA notified a couple of states that maybe this wasn't something that they sanctioned. They want to make sure everybody knew that the NCAA does not sanction this.
Well, you know what? The truth is the NCAA might not be around all that much longer either.
Well, there you go. That's a whole nother thing.
Yeah.
So I would tell you, behind the scenes, there were some fuming individuals about how it was taken off the board in some states.
Right, sure.
But no, the basketball's been great.
Yep.
And my God, the kids have a showcase. Think about why the Crown's better. Everybody played yesterday and today is playing for money for the kids. So the worst you're going to do is the team's going to get $50,000 if you win last night or today. You've got 15 NBA teams that were there. You probably got 80 college teams that are there. These are all showcases, and with this portal, the way it works, nobody's going to an NIT game. They're just not. It's too hard. The travel's too hard. So, every team in the NIT loses money generally, even if you have the home games.
Yeah, Boise State coach Leon Rice said, don't like the quick turnaround with the NIT. Let's take more time off. Go to Vegas for the Crown. Get a chance to win $300,000 if you win this tournament. So, Derek, I assume the plan for this Crown in the future is much bigger, right? It's more money involved, more better teams, and kind of a bigger stage for this tournament.
Yeah, I think all the teams that participated, and particularly the 4 that get to play Saturday, all the players are going to get paid.
Right.
This is the first year of something that's a multi-year deal. So I think obviously the goal is to have a stadium that gets full. Mm-hmm. But again, this is a TV event, and it's good for Vegas. It's good for those particular owners.
Gus Johnson, Jimmy Jackson were on the call last night. John Murray and I sat a few rows behind him, and you can tell Fox is trying to make this seem like a pretty big event. When were you approached about this, because you're one of the founding partners?
Yeah, I would say I don't know, maybe 6-8 months ago, something like that. Yeah, we've been involved in it. Yeah, some of these guys are all coming by tomorrow. Jimmy Jackson's coming by.
Cool.
Handful of coaches coming by and all that. So we're excited about it.
Cool. Looking forward to it. All right. I assume we're going to be off a little bit later because T-Mobile will be packed tonight. Golden Knights playing host to the Winnipeg Jets. What do we make of the season so far for Vegas and what they have in store right now against Winnipeg tonight?
Well, Golden Knights are a pretty big favorite, actually.
Yeah.
I was a little surprised at how strong the number is. I don't know if you talked about 150 against this Winnipeg Jets team. I thought that was a pretty strong number.
I did too. Aiden Hill's going to be in goal tonight for the Knights, but the Winnipeg Jets have the highest point total in the Western Conference.
Yeah, and I thought the total's a little low.
Total of 5.5, and right here at Circa, what are you, minus 150 on the Knights?
Yeah, 150.
Yeah, Knights have been pretty good at home. They have not been able to string together road games consistently. I think they just had their first 3-game winning streak on the road this year, and they just had it. They just got through it. Any worry there, big picture for Vegas, the fact that they can't win any of these games on 4 and ice?
You get this crazy thing. Now they clinch. Now you really got to start scheduling. How are you going to handle your load management in hockey? How are you going to play this out? So I think there's a little bit like that. Hey, you know what? I'm sorry, I'm paying attention here. I got over in this Yankee game. Look at this. Here we go. 6-3 in the fourth. I think this thing's going to fly.
You're over. Yep. You're over.
Yes, we are. There we go.
Was the total 8.5 or 9.5 in this game? What'd you bet over?
I did this alternate line. I took this thing. I took over 6, over 6.5. I took over 7.5. I took over 8. I think 8.5 was the number.
The pre-flop total will close 9.5 here.
9.5.
Shaded under minus 125. So we are on the way to doing that potentially. All of these have been pretty high up. All right.
8.5 was the Reds game.
Yes.
Yeah.
So before we get you out of here, we do have to ask, Final Four, how's it looking so far, betting-wise? Anything stick out? Any popular side? Total?
No, there's been nothing good about this March Madness. There's been no madness. 4 number ones. I didn't realize this because the last time 4 number ones came in, I wasn't in this business, but I do know we don't want 4 number ones. It was not good.
That was 2008. That was also San Antonio. Yeah. You said nothing good about this March Madness, Derek, but 2 VSiN personalities, 2 of the biggest personalities here, have a chance to win futures bets from your blackjack tournament a month ago, and that's Mitch Moss and the guy sitting right here in the middle.
Yes.
Okay, Mitch had Florida. Is that right? Mm-hmm. And then JVT, who'd you have?
I have Auburn.
Beautiful. Well, that's good. That makes me feel happy. I feel good about that. What's your payout, JVT?
35.
Nice.
So we are very much. Joe Sorala walked in yesterday. He said, "I love Florida," and I looked at him. I said, "I hope you're the wrongest you've ever been in your life."
Are you doing any hedging?
So I don't think so. I do have. I do get a little bit of Florida as well in the national championship game, so I stand to win some money there. So I think I'm just going to let that ride. I haven't decided.
You almost got a little bit of hedge with Mitch if you want to do something.
Correct. Well, that's what it is.
Okay.
So Mitch and I partnered a little bit. So I think I could try to double dip, right, and then put a little on Florida, and if they lose, then get that, and of course have a piece of Florida in the national championship game as well. So
no, I don't want to. I mean, overall handle for March Madness was the highest ever. So it was record handle. We just didn't hold. We didn't hold in the first round. We didn't hold in second, third, or fourth round. So it's just been a tough March Madness. I think you've seen that. I think reports are coming out that's been like that with a number of books.
Yeah, especially with these favorites coming in. But who knows? Now with the 4 winners, with the 4 number 1 seeds, this is going to be something that maybe with a lot of parity you can get it with all these teams really partnered or should be tight with each other. Derek, we appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Folks, make sure you go to winnerscircleproxy.com/VSiN. Check out the top Las Vegas football contest proxy. Sign up. You can get in on the best contests in the business, Circa Millions, and of course, Circa Survivor. Go to winnerscircleproxy.com/VSiN and check it out today. We'll come back, continue to update everything going on in the world of sports, Major League Baseball, NBA. We have college hoops games later tonight as well. Don't go anywhere.
This is VSiN PrimeTime on VSiN, the sports betting network.
Back here in the studio of VSiN PrimeTime, Jonathan Von Tobel, Matt Youmans, and Derek Stevens sticking around for a couple extra minutes. You were very excited. We had to talk about something big that you wanted to share with us here.
Yeah, I did. I mean, if I'm not here in the VSiN studio, in my favorite place by the world's largest sports book and circuit, when I go out of town, you know why I like to fly out? I like to fly JSX. It takes you to 26 different locations, mostly all based out of Las Vegas. You ever flown JSX, JVT?
No, I haven't, but I'm really interested in it, and I think, Matt, you've done it before.
I'm part of the JSX Flight Club. I love it. I think it's the future, really. When you on the West Coast, you can fly to Reno, Carlsbad, Burbank, Scottsdale, all sorts of locations out of Vegas, and you drive right up basically to the plane. Right? You don't have to worry about parking at the airport. Going through security and all that stuff. JSX, I think, is if you haven't done it, you have to do it. It's the future, and I mean that.
I agree. Future travel. That's where we took our whole crew up to the Lion 49er game. We chartered a whole flight. It was so easy. I couldn't believe it. I love it.
All right, JSX, huh? With JSX.com, you can go check out more. All right, let's head out. Welcome in Brian Edwards, progressive guest line as well. Brian, we got the Final Four coming up here. Are we excited? How are we feeling about your Florida Gators?
Well, not nearly as confident as I was when we were speaking a couple of weeks ago. Florida has not played its best basketball. Really, they only played good probably the first 10, 12 minutes of the Norfolk State game, the last 4 or so minutes of the UConn game, second half of the Maryland game, and the last 5 minutes of the Texas Tech game. So I'm not nearly as confident, but with Janai Broome banged up, I'm still going to go with the Gators. They went to Auburn on February 8th. No Elijah Martin. He had a hip pointer. Michael Hand-Lockton had not taken off his red shirt yet. Auburn was fully healthy, and Florida fell down by 10, 15-5. Well, they led by 21 mid-second half. They ended up winning by 9, and that was the only loss Auburn had at home this year. Florida's 11-3 against the spread in 14 games as a single-digit favorite. They have won 10 in a row. And I like them laying the 2.5, but I may like even more the team total over 81. Or what do y'all see the team total at? It's kind of been bouncing around anywhere from 80.5 to 81.5. They've scored at least 84 in 9 of the last 10 games. They've scored at least 81 in 31 of 38 games, and they average 85.4. And like I said, they scored 90 at Auburn.
Brian Edwards, Vegas Insider, MajorWager.com, and also BrianEdwardsSports.com. I don't think there's anyone on the planet who is more overconfident in the Florida basketball team than you were about 2 or 3 weeks ago. So you've come back down to earth a little bit, right? Are you concerned that the Gators you've been watching here in the NCAA tournament have not been as sharp as they were previously?
Yeah, that's a fact. They have not been nearly as sharp, but if they can get back to the way they were playing in the SEC tournament and those little snippets of time I gave out, which aren't, less than half of their play in the tournament, and the, probably 5-6 weeks before the SEC tournament, then they'll be just fine. But if they play like they've played the majority of the NCAA tournament, if Broome is 90% healthy, they'll be dead come Saturday night.
How about the total? It comes down from 161.5 or so to 160, and that Alamo Dome has a reputation of, let's say, kind of a tough shooting background. Also, Edwards, when you're talking about conference opponents like this, you know each other inside and out. You know exactly what the opponent wants to do, and that makes it more difficult to score. You're leaning under here. How do you think this game's going to play out in terms of pace, in terms of scoring with the total down to 160?
Well, the over's hitting 12 straight for Florida, but several of them here lately have been extremely fortunate and bad beats to the under.
Right.
I'm not playing the total other than what I said. I'm going to go with Florida's total over 80.5, 81 or 81.5. But they did have 171 combined when they first met, but that was without Florida's best perimeter defender in Elijah Martin, and Hanlofton is another rim protector for Florida defensively. And, Broome maybe with a bad elbow, although it is his off, shooting elbow. I'm a pass on the over-under for both teams, though.
Brian Edwards with us, MajorWager.com, senior handicapper, Vegas insider. All right, let's go to this next one here, Duke and Houston. First off, we'll start off with the side. Houston, you kind of just, test the water. Sounds like it's going to be a popular selection there amongst handicappers. Are you among those?
Nope. I like Duke laying the 5. They've won 15 in a row, have not tasted defeat since February 8th. They're 11-4 against the spread during this winning streak, but 3 of the 4 non-covers would have been covers laying a 5-point spread. They were wins by 7, 8, and 21 points, and 12 of Duke's 15 wins during this winning streak are by 11 or more. Now, obviously, a lot of the opponents have been nowhere near the ilk of Houston, who has a hell of a team, toughness, defensively and rebounding, but they struggle to get buckets at times, and I just don't think offensively over the course of 40 minutes that they're going to be able to keep up with Duke, and I think Duke is going to win by 8 to 12 points.
All right, Edwards, like most of us here, you have a future on one or more teams in the Final Four, and I know you got the Florida Gators at a good number. Is that the only team of the 4 you have a future on?
So in a bit of a hedge of my Florida 35-1, I took Cooper Flagg to win Most Outstanding Player at plus 260. Before the Elite Eight, I took an exacta for Florida and Duke to meet in the finals at plus 250, and then I took exactas with the specific winner. I took Duke to beat Florida for a plus 425 return in the finals, and I took Florida to beat Duke at plus 590. I also have a plus 180 for Florida to make the finals that I believe I did before the Sweet 16. And I'm still kind of mulling what other, potential hedges that I should do. Because when I got my sister on Florida at 8-1, which was way late, I added an extra 100 for me on the 8-1. So I've got all kind of things working, and I still need to do some math to figure out a few things.
That's great that you got your sister involved in betting too. You told me before
absolutely.
You said she's what, 12 years old?
She's got 3 kids and might make more money than 3 of us combined.
Okay. At Vegas B. Edwards, Brian Edwards with us handicapping the Final Four. Edwards, there's more out there this week. The NIT championship game tonight. It's coming up in about 45 minutes. Chattanooga and UC Irvine, Anteaters down to 3-point favorites. That number was 4.5 earlier today here at Circa, total of 146. Also got the college basketball crown. Villanova, USC tonight. Nova down to 4.5-point favorite at most spots. And Nebraska, Boise State coming up on Saturday. Have you gotten into the college basketball crown and the NIT this week?
Very much so. And I've had a lot of success, but I'll start with the one I like the most, which is on Saturday, and that is Boise laying 2 or 2.5 to Nebraska. Boise's won 9 of its last 11, going 8-3 ATS. The only losses, both were to Colorado State, a team that lost to the buzzer in the round of 32. And Nebraska has played well the last 2 nights, but against teams that were decimated by personnel absences in Arizona State and Georgetown. And before that, they'd lost 5 in a row. So let's go Boise minus 2 or 2.5. I'd like it probably all the way up to 4, but hopefully we can get it at 2.5 or fewer. And then let's go Chattanooga. I got 4, but I still like it at 3 because I got some plus 160 money line as well. The Monsters 16-1 straight up, 14-3 against the spread in their last 17 going back to January 25th. The only loss in overtime to Furman by 3, and they've won outright in each of their last 8 games as an underdog. And I also have a money line parlay pending with Cincinnati and Villanova. I know Cincy's down a hair right now, and I did a small play on Villanova. I actually did -5. You can probably get a 4.5 now. Just think that they're playing better than USC right now, who I suspect is going to be without Wesley Yates, their second leading scorer.
Mm-hmm.
I like Nova 8-4 straight up. But straight up in ATS last 12. Trojans 4-9 straight up, 6-7 ATS their last 13.
I'm with you on all 3: Chattanooga, Villanova, and Boise State against Nebraska on Saturday.
All right.
Let's do it.
Edwards, we appreciate it as always, sir. Thank you very much for the time. Good luck.
Thanks, guys. Y'all have a great week.
You too. Not too much luck, though.
Yeah, I'm telling you what, this NIT championship game coming up with, I know you don't want his Florida Gators to beat your Auburn Tigers, but the NIT championship coming up tonight, I really couldn't figure out why this number got up to 4.5 today. Chattanooga, UC Irvine. Now it's back down to 3 pretty much everywhere. DraftKings still has a 3.5 hanging out there, but that looked like essentially a pick'em game to me. I know that, what'd you say, Torvik had 3.5, or Adam Burke said that?
Yeah.
If you watch Chattanooga the last couple games, I don't think you'd be laying the 4 against that team tonight. But anyway, betting market has come down a little bit to 3, which is a little bit more realistic than the 4.5 that was out there today.
CircaLasVegas.com. Check it out. Use code VSiN15 when you sign up. You can book now. Save 15% off. It stays at Circa, the D, and Golden Gate. Just go to CircaLasVegas.com. Use the promo code VSiN15 and book your stay today.
This is VSiN PrimeTime on VSiN, the sports betting network.
44-41. Memphis up on top on the road against Miami. They trailed early here. Tight game, though. 2:23 left to go in the second. Remember, the Grizzlies now in control of the 8th seed because of their 4-game losing streak. Story earlier today was the warning that was issued for one Ja Morant after he did the finger guns at Buddy Hield. Buddy Hield also got one of those warnings. I believe he was caught doing it as well. Ja Morant, being the very mature young man that he is, took that warning in stride, Matt, and busted the finger guns out in the first quarter.
Like, he is one of my favorite players to watch.
Great.
But he is a knucklehead sometimes, and he needs to grow up a little bit as far as that goes. He's going to take another big fine. Why do you want to just give that money away?
I mean, it goes back to, again, to one of the things that should be mentioned in the saga with Taylor Jenkins is the fact that Ja Morant has played in 58% of his games since his rookie year.
Not the same team without Ja, and Taylor Jenkins, I guess, had to take the fall for that, right?
Injuries and because of his own actions. And here we are again with Ja Morant. Look, who knows what's going to happen? But this is actually just a great example of, like, dude, like, just stop. Like, it's really that simple. Who knows what's going to happen? Maybe you just get fined. But the fact that now that's out there and it's going to be a topic, like, bro, can we just chill? You're not even good. Your team's not good enough to do that, by the way. You're the 8th seed. You've been scuffling this whole time.
How about that shot by Tyler Hero, one of the most improved players in the NBA?
Market doesn't accurately represent, I think, the read of media members, but we will see if that's the case. But with that shot, Miami takes the lead by a point. So that is going to be something we will track here the rest of the way. Other games that are going on right now in the association, none Other than, no, I'm just kidding. Just mentioned that Toronto has taken a 1-point lead over Portland. That one's a tight one, 44-43. And our game of the night, coming up a little bit later, will be the Los Angeles Lakers and the Golden State Warriors. So we've been talking about these Final Four matchups and whatnot. Actually, really quickly, before we do that, coming up at 6 p.m. Pacific time, we do have your Crown Championship. Not the Crown. NIT Final is going to be there. Any final parting words on that for anybody tuning in to get a little bit of analysis on the Chattanooga matchup?
Yeah, this UC Irvine team, I think, is a little bit overrated. I know that UC San Diego was the top team in the Big West, and UC Irvine was number 2. But to me, the ratings weren't that close. Mm-hmm. And I think this Irvine team's been given a little bit too much respect in this matchup. I watched the last 2 games with Chattanooga. I like their guards a lot. I know the Ken Palm or Bart Torvik, whatever those sites say this number should be around 3.5 for Irvine. I made Chattanooga a 1-point favorite before I looked at any of that stuff and said, whoa, okay, I guess maybe I'm off, or maybe my read on Chattanooga is going to be right. I couldn't understand why Villanova was only a 3.5-point favorite a couple days ago, and Nova ended up winning that game by 20. I'm not really sure why Irvine's a 3-point favorite here. I did just get in on Chattanooga plus 3.5 for a little bit in this game tonight. Chattanooga's not a team I've seen play extensively. I like to see teams play a lot. I've only seen Chattanooga play a couple times, but I was pretty impressed from what I've seen. I've never been blown away by this Irvine team, so I do like to dog a little bit in the NIT title game. What do you got here?
No, I'm just laughing at Josh with the gun. Now, he's a sniper, is what the celebration was, but it's just kind of funny watching that happen again.
We also got the college basketball crown tonight.
Yeah, what do we got?
Game in progress right now. How about this? Central Florida, 6.5-point dog on top of Cincinnati.
Wow.
And Central Florida without a key player in this game, but UCF still up by 6. Villanova's come down a little bit here. I thought this number got a little bit high. I think it peaked at 5.5. Double check. At some point, DraftKings went to 5.5 on Nova. USC impressed me the other night against Tulane. That was in an 89-60 win. Rashawn Agee had 27 points. Desmond Claude is a big-time scorer. Eric Musselman's going to show up to compete, and his players will too. So I thought 5.5 was too inflated. This market has come down to 4.5 here about 1 hour before tip-off tonight in the second game of the Crown out at MGM. I agree with the play on the dog at plus 5.5, but I do have Villanova on a money line parlay, and I played Villanova on the money line parlay at minus 215.
Okay.
So I like Nova to win that game tonight, but I thought that 5.5 was a little bit too much too. Money line parlayed it with Duke, and also I'm with Brian Edwards. I was out there last night watching the Butler-Boise game, and then after that watched the Georgetown-Nebraska game. There's no doubt in my mind that Boise's a better team than Nebraska. And I would have made the number 3.5. It opened 1.5. Lay the 2 with Boise State on Saturday morning in the Crown semis. Boise, I think, was a little bit undervalued here as a 2-point favorite against Nebraska. Really impressed with the ways Boise can beat you on the offensive end of the floor. The variety of scorers, the way they can spread the floor, shoot the 3, attack the rim. Good offensive rebounders. Got a lot of veterans. JBT, you've watched this Boise State team all season. Broncos have not been great away from home in general, but they look pretty good in this tournament at MGM. And I like the way they're shooting the ball, and I think Boise obviously going to move over to T-Mobile on the weekend. I think Boise's a better team, and it's going to show against Nebraska.
I think it's kind of home away from home for them, though, right? They play a lot of games out here. They go to Thomas and Mack to play UNLV. They play the Mountain West Conference tournament here, so probably some familiarity, at least with the logistics of getting out here and playing out here. So I would assume that helps to an extent for a team that has struggled away from home.
I think it does, too. And you got Cardenas, the point guard, who's a veteran. Tyson Degenhart, who feels like he's been around forever, one of the best players in Boise history. He's kind of a player who can do it all. Kind of reminds me a little bit of Drew Timme when he was at Gonzaga.
Sure.
Right? Degenhart, I was out there doing a little bit of everything last night to help Boise win that game. Now, Bryce Williams for Nebraska, the shooting guard, is probably – now, there's a chance he's going to be the best player on the floor. He's the best pure scorer. Man, it comes so easily to Bryce Williams. I'm sure Leon Rice, who's a hell of a coach, is going to say, hey, we're going to do everything we can to try to take Bryce Williams out of this game or kind of limit his impact from a scoring perspective. And if you do that, I think you're going to beat Nebraska. I don't think the Cornhuskers have many other options on offense. If you can try to limit Bryce Williams, and that's just another reason I like Boise in that matchup.
Boom. Like it. All right, really quickly, we were about to hit the half with the 9/10 of a second left to go, 49-all between Memphis and Miami. Wanted to update a couple of things. First off, in the NBA, keep an eye out, Anthony Edwards. Looks like Jordi Fernandez was on the sideline in an area that he wasn't supposed to, and Edwards stepped on the Nets coach's foot, twisted his ankle, and went down with an injury. So we'll keep an eye on that. But that would be pretty big for a Timberwolves team, of course, trying to maintain their place inside of the top 6 of the Western Conference. The other thing we should note, I don't think we exactly mentioned this, but Merrill Kelly with a 22-9 ERA today got bombed out by the Bronx Bombers. And torpedo bats strike again, because we did see.
Well, it's funny how those bats weren't that effective when you had good pitchers on the mound for the D-backs like Zach Gallen, right?
Mm-hmm.
Zach Gallen took the torpedo bats out of play. Merrill Kelly could not do that.
I'd ask anybody who has the internet, everybody, to go and watch Jazz Chisholm's home run. That, I think, was going to be a tater tot, no matter what kind of bat you were swinging with. That thing was perfect. Very good swing, and Chisholm goes yard. So we have a 9-3 lead for the New York Yankees. And you mentioned it. This was the angle that we talked about, right? The team at home in danger of being swept, putting forth a pretty good effort. Helps when you have a crappy pitcher on the other side, but Yankees came out swinging today.
Well, a lot of things lined up there. Yankees trying to avoid the sweep. A bet against pitcher that the D-backs are putting out there tonight. And let's face it, a small number on the Yankees. What, they opened around minus 115?
Yep.
Got bet up around 135, 140. And that's a price you can handle if you're looking to play the favorite to avoid the sweep. So, yeah, I thought the Yankees one of the better. Props to Derek Stevens, too, huh? Over the total.
Yeah.
No sweat. This bet's in the 5th inning.
It is. No
9-3.
See, he played the alts, like from 6 way all the way up through. And also, a very good lesson in, one performance over the course of a 162-game season is probably not what you're going to see over the course of the year. I bring that up because nasty Nestor Cortez has shown up. 4 innings pitched for the Milwaukee Brewers. They're in the bottom of the 4th inning, but he has struck out 5. He's walked 2, but a much better bounce-back performance from Nestor Cortez after just getting annihilated by his former team out in the Bronx over the weekend. On the other side, sweating out for our buddy, Adam Burke came on here, had the over on the hit prop for Nick Solo-Lodolo, and right now 2 hits over 3 2/3, but Brewers are working him here, bottom of the 4th inning, 2 on. With no outs. So Brewers trying to get Adam home there and getting to Lodolo so far. But Nestor Cortez bouncing back in a very big way, and I think he's going to be fine big picture. Matt Youmans, avert your eyes. VSiN.com/subscribe. Check out the summer special. VSiN Pro Access through August 1st for only $59. You get everything we have up on the website. The daily best bets are there, and you get them in your inbox every single day. The betting splits come from both Circa and from DraftKings. You get the reputable books to get an idea of what's happening, both sharp and public. Expert analysis and some great articles, including our own Adam Burke and others, who write every single day up on the site. And the betting systems included from one Steve Mackinnon, who does a tremendous job. All of that and more is part of a VSiN Pro subscription. And you get access to all of it through August 1st. Check out VSiN.com/subscribe. Check it out now. It's part of our summer special here at VSiN.
Is that a great deal? You bet your ass it is.
That's a good one. Right. I like that a lot. All right. We're at the half with a bunch of these games. We'll keep it updated as we move along. But coming up in 20 minutes, it's our game of the night. Actually, no, it's an hour and 20 minutes. Sorry. I'm just having so much fun. Time flying. When we come back, we get back to the Final Four. We hear from Cooper Flagg. It's next.
This is VSiN PrimeTime on VSiN, the sports betting network.
Rapidly approaching the Final Four. I can't lie. I told Tim this yesterday. I'm getting more agitated as we get closer to the game on Saturday.
Well, you've got a lot riding on the Auburn game, financially, so you're probably a little bit anxious.
Yes, anxious,
in that regard, right?
And, agitated. I'm just, I'm not looking forward to it. If you were in this position like that, would you want to watch the game, or if I gave you the option, just fast forward to the end of the game, would you do it? Not go through all of the anxiety and all that kind of stuff, and just fast forward to the end of it.
Watch every second of the game.
Oh, boy.
And be ready to live bet, too.
That's a good point, yeah. Forgot about that. All right, never mind. Take it away. So, Final Four's coming up. of what many have deemed to be just a terrible tournament. Awful tournament, man. So much chalk. It's dead. It's over. Death of Cinderella.
We had 2 Cinderellas that lasted 1 round, right?
Mm-hmm.
Drake was one, and McNeese was the other.
No.
And they both lost in the second round. We had a chance. I think Colorado State could have been a Cinderella, right?
I think so. If the season wasn't ruined by a ridiculous non-call that was a travel.
New Mexico had a chance to be a Cinderella.
Yep.
So Cinderella's not dead, but there's going to be fewer Cinderellas. Let's put it that way.
No, I think not only is Cinderella dead, and we're never going to have one ever again, I think the NCAA tournament is on the verge of death as well. And you know who backs me up on this?
No, who?
Jim Nantz. Roll the tape.
My concern on your question is future of college basketball.
Yeah.
That may not live as we know it another 500 years. It may not live another 15 years because the portal and the NIL, it's difficult. I don't want to paint it doom and gloom. I don't want to say it's about to be extinct. It's not going to be. But what we knew it as, what we grew up with, that model doesn't exist anymore. And some people have a real problem with that.
It's over. It's done. By the way, was somebody like holding him hostage? Kept looking over his shoulder. Am I saying the right thing?
Something was weird about that video. It looked like he's very pale. Did he color his hair?
Maybe. Maybe he's being held hostage. There we go.
Look at that. Doesn't he look kind of weird there? What's going on?
Maybe the hairline.
Anyway, Jim Nantz, former voice of March Madness, called about 30 Final Fours, believe it or not.
Mm-hmm.
The Masters, you're going to hear him next week, friends. Welcome to Augusta.
I thought he retired.
He retired from NCAA basketball tournament coverage on CBS, so he's still the voice of the Masters.
He was crying.
Well, he's sad that he had to part ways with college hoops. Ian Eagle is now the voice of the tournament for CBS. He does a great job. So
this is dead, over with. 15 years. Call it.
Take
it out back.
College basketball is going to go through some radical changes. I also think at some point there's going to be some more regulations, more rules. There's going to be a salary cap or something's going to come along. Because, the way things are going now is not going to work. With the NIL and the transfer portal, it's kind of like the Wild West, and whoever's got the most money is going to be able to rebuild overnight. And JVT does for a guy who watches small conference college hoops like you, like I do. If you enjoy the Mountain West or the Big West, those are the conferences that are really going to get hurt. You develop a player, and then boom, he's gone because UCLA pays him $3 million.
What are you talking about? They have Donovan Dent.
And New Mexico developed him, and then UCLA bought him for $3 million.
Well, Deion Thomas is sticking around. So
UNLV developed him. LSU bought him for whatever.
Oh, well, I mean, there's what's his face, or the big guy for San Diego State. He's still around.
Actually, he is going to stick around. Did you see that?
Oh, okay. I was being sarcastic. I just knew that he went to the transfer portal.
Lagoon Guath, who was the freshman of the year, actually said yesterday that he's going to come back to San Diego State.
But you can't really help it, Matt. I mean, there's sometimes you get programs like Texas Tech who go out and find JT Toppins, recruit them as freshmen, and build them up.
Yeah, New Mexico recruited him and developed him. Yeah. Now,
Okay.
but Jim Nantz
It's not looking good for my vision here.
Nantz is a graduate of Houston, obviously a big proponent of that program, and he was promoted. He says America should be rooting for Houston this week, JVT.
Why is that?
Because the Cougars do it the right way.
No, America. No, I'm not going to do it.
They play the right way. Kelvin Sampson runs the right type of program. America's team, the Houston Cougars. Do you buy into this?
I think they're the easiest team to root for, actually. Like, if you follow college basketball, of these four, you've got just evil Duke. Who cares? It's Duke, right? None of us want to see them succeed outside of their fans. You've got the creep Todd Golden, who, no thanks. Don't really want to root for him.
It's hard to root for the creeper.
Yeah. Auburn, I think, is like probably second on the list, but not as strong as a Kelvin Sampson, who's done such a good job with Houston and has been there but failed and not
it's so
many.
Close to the mountaintop and then tumbles down the mountain.
And I would say next to Auburn, of these one seeds, not a team that many believed would be very good among the one seeds, right? In terms of how the standards you held them to. Mm-hmm. A lot of people, when you ask the question, hey, who's the weakest of the one seeds? The answers were usually Auburn or Houston.
Yeah,
so I think it's easy to root for. I'd agree. 3
of the 4 teams have survived scares on the way to the Final Four, right? Houston got one from Purdue. Mm-hmm. Auburn got one, we say, from Michigan, right?
Still won and covered.
Yeah. And Florida has survived a couple, obviously, against UConn and Texas Tech. What about Duke? Not really a scare. I mean, Arizona was somewhat competitive, but Duke hasn't really had to sweat out of game. Do you think Duke's going to have to sweat it out against Houston?
You know, I'm glad you brought that up. I do think they're going to have to sweat this out in Houston, but Duke is they're very well coached and they're so well rounded. In fact, Cooper Flagg, tell me about your roster and how well this thing's been built together.
Yeah, I mean, I think Coach did a really good job. I mean, it's an incredible group of guys. Like, these are all my brothers now. It's been an incredible year. Everybody's been amazing to be around. So, I mean, it's an incredible group. I don't think Coach could have done a better job. We have perfect pieces. It's come together really nice, and I think we're clicking at the right time.
On this run to the Final Four, who is the coolest person or some of the people that you've heard from that have reached out to you?
I mean, I'll say like Grant Hill, just, being able to talk to him. He's been around and whatnot. So being able to talk to him, get some wisdom from him has been really cool.
Grant Hill.
I would say the coolest person to reach out to Cooper Flagg would be John Fanta.
That's right.
It's just right there.
You know, Grant Hill drinks Sprite.
Does he?
That's right.
You know what's underrated? 7-Up. I still love 7-Up. And it's hard to find. You can get it at In-N-Out Burger in the drive-thru, but very few fast food places have 7-Up. Yeah. Most have Sprite. And 7-Up's better.
Or Starry.
Any day. Just get that out of here.
Grant Hill, that's a reference to, by the way, the old commercial. Grant Hill drinks Sprite, if you remember.
Yeah, I knew what you were referencing. I didn't know if they still ran that thing or
no,
not.
I don't think they do. I don't think
maybe
they do.
he was sitting courtside.
Just an old reference that I understand.
Ian Eagle drinking Sprite, and they still had a commercial.
That's right.
If you get a chance.
Disgusted you were a Starry.
I don't like Starry. What's that other cheap knockoff?
I think it's it. Well, you got Starry. You got Starry overtook. I think you're referring to Sierra Mist.
That's it. Yeah.
I don't believe Sierra Mist is a thing anymore.
Okay.
I could be wrong. I believe it was overtaken by Starry in some form or fashion.
7-Up is still the king, in my opinion. If you haven't had one in a while, drink a 7-Up and get back to me.
I'm a big cherry 7-Up guy.
Are you?
Oh yeah, cherry 7-Up is a very underrated soda, if you will. But Cooper Flagg, Duke, the Great White Hope for the Utah Jazz.
You think the Utah Jazz would love to have Cooper Flagg? How about the Wizards?
Community would rally
How about
around?
The Sixers? Yeah. But I tell
Salt Lake City would be a buzz. Get it?
Yeah, that's right. The Utah Jazz would love to get Cooper Flagg. I think this is going to be a game Duke is going to have to sweat out.
I would agree.
Might get upset. Houston's a veteran team. Won 17 in a row, lost one game of regulation all season. All these teams in the Final Four are in top 10 in offensive and defensive efficiency. So it's going to come down to, matchups and how well you shoot the three and what your go-to guys are doing down the stretch, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think Duke finds a way to win, but, man, I do think it's going to be a tight game. Pretty much painted 5 across the market right now. You still see a couple 5. I see at least 1 5.5 out there.
So I did use Duke for the contest, but this is strategy because I do believe that Paul Stone, amongst many others, are going to be on Houston.
JVT, I like Houston.
I may or may not have listened to Jimmy Ott's podcast with Paul Stone the other day.
Yeah, I told you, do your homework. Huh?
And
go to the Paul Stone Sports Podcast. Yep. Scout your opponent. Find out who he likes.
Did a little scouting.
Maybe he threw you a curveball, kind of like Billy Walters.
That's exactly what I said yesterday. It's exactly what I said yesterday.
Yeah.
Like maybe he knows it's like behind he turns that camera off and he's like, JVT, I tell you what, I hope you fall for it.
I'm taking Duke
like a barracuda with a raw piece of meat. Is that something Paul would say?
I don't know.
Hey, by the way, our picks are due at 10 a.m. Tomorrow. You can watch on the new VSiN Watch app when we unveil everything. So make sure you download it and check it out. Watch and listen live show replays out now. But tomorrow is Friday. And so if you want to watch us unveil the Circa College Hoops Challenge picks, the penultimate version of those selections, tune into VSiN PrimeTime on Friday. Deadline 10 a.m. Pacific time.
JVT and I will be right here Friday night to announce all the picks in the contest, more Final Four handicapping. And on the show tomorrow night will be, I can guarantee, David Deneen, the defending champ, will be on the show with us Friday night.
Got it. Like it. Looking forward to it. Moneyline Marv checks in. So this is why you don't like Starry. Sierra Mist was just rebranded as Starry.
Is that right?
Yeah, so it's the same soda.
Look at Moneyline Marv doing his homework on that. That's impressive.
There you go. Yeah. So that's why you don't like it.
Okay.
Right? You were not big on Sierra Mist.
Good call.
It's just a wolf in sheep's clothing.
Did he say anything about 7-Up being better than Sprite?
Moneyline Marv check-in is 7-Up better than Sprite. 50 to 49. We are underway in South Beach for the second half between Heat and Grizz.